Good evening. Welcome to the 2013 deadCENTER Film Festival. I'm Brian Hearn. I'm the feature films programmer here and the film curator here at the museum, and we're thrilled to see all of you here today to see this incredible film, The Hornet's Nest, and we're pleased to have the director, or the star really, of the film, Mike Boettcher, and David Salzberg here, and so please welcome Mike Boettcher.
Well, the way this is scripted, my co-producer and director of this film, David Salzberg, is going to speak first. So hold on a second.
First of all, we want to thank everyone for coming, and we're really honored to be here. We've been screening around the country, and we've had really an amazing reaction to this movie that Mike was able to get us to all work on about 2 years ago. I represent a lot of folks that are not here tonight that are working on the film. My co-director, Christian Theroux, my editorial team, our editorial team, and all these other folks around the country that have volunteered for the last 2 years to make this movie. The movie you're going to see now is not finished. It's a director's cut, which it's not colored, it's not mixed, which means it looks really good and it sounds really good, but it's not the way it's going to be. There's also some little sequences that we're tweaking and fixing, because in the process of making the movie, rather than using focus groups and going around in Hollywood and hiring people to watch it and tell us what they think, we've actually gone to the people that it's about. So we've gone to the members of the units, many of whom, the 2-8 Marines are here tonight. I know we have folks from that unit in the 101st Airborne that are in the film that are here tonight.
No slack.
No slack specifically. And also the Gold Star families and Wounded Warriors, who have been gracious enough to give us their time and let us show them the film. We have Gold Star families here tonight. I know the Burgess family, who drove all the way up from Fort Worth, is here. Can you please stand, Terry?
All the Burgess
For all the Burgess family.
All of you.
So just want to really, from all of us, thank Mike for what he's done in 30 plus years of going out and telling stories of people that are trying to make a difference. Mike Boettcher.
I'll save my words for later because I know we all want to see the film, and I hope you enjoy it. We've done this and other small screenings around the country as we slowly roll out this film, which will be theatrically released in the fall in November around Veterans Day weekend. But I am so excited to be here in my home state, Oklahoma. I'm very nervous because, you know, I'm showing this in front of my peeps. And, you know, I've been wearing the Okie banner for more than 3 decades as I've traveled around the world. These soldiers can tell you they're sick and tired of me talking about Oklahoma. Sergeant Kellis Richardson, who's in the film, we'll meet him later. Well, stand up, Kellis. He's here. And there are others, but we'll get to everyone later. I want to thank our sponsors, deadCENTER Film Festival, for having us here for this screening. I'm so proud that such a great film festival is here in the city I live in, Oklahoma City. I want to thank American Airlines, one of our sponsors, and the first sponsor of this, as it should be, the University of Oklahoma. OU Outreach, please stand, all of you. I'll speak more about OU Outreach after this. Let's go ahead and start the film. We have a couple of ads, and then the film will run. Thank you very much for being here. First off, I would like my comrades in arms from No Slack Battalion and 2-8 Marines and others here to please stand up. To be honored. Kellis will get that super change to Kellis, not John. So we got that, don't worry.
I said it wasn't done.
We're still making tweaks as we go along. I also, there's someone else in the audience who's here. Christy Wilson-Wiles, where are you? You please stand. Christy's son, Drew, is from Edmond, Oklahoma, and he was the pilot of one of those chariots flying into a hail of gunfire to get those soldiers out of there from those hospitals. I believe Drew won the Distinguished Flying Cross. Correct, he did. If you check the chests of all these guys, you'll see a bunch of medals, well deserved. You know, we wanted, in television we always joke that we do a story, you broadcast it, it goes to Pluto. And all of my life, covering war, I would go into a place, sometimes experience horrific things from 1980 on to now, and then lock it away in the back of my brain. And it was killing me in more ways than one. And I think part of it is that I just moved on to another story. Well, this film is my line in the sand. I'm not moving on anymore. We as a nation have become disconnected to the sacrifice that our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines are going through every day overseas in our name. So I have drawn my line here with this film. This film is my line in the sand. This is not TV, this is a film, and that's what's great about film. It's like a book. It continues to live. It's an historical document that we hope brings the nation to the right, to the left, to the middle, together for the next battle that's going to be fought, which is right here in the United States. As these soldiers come home and reintegrate, we need to be there for them. That's why OU Outreach is such a great sponsor for us, because they're there on the education sides of things. But we as citizens must be there for us soldiers. Some are going to have more difficult times than others reintegrating. They've been through a lot, and we wanted the American public to experience as best we could what they experience every day and the sacrifice they put forth. So I'm going to call, and I also want to say that there'll be questions. David has a few words, but I know I want to say a few words about my family. And first off, my wife and my stepson John, please stand. She's been through hell, so has John. John grew up with this as Carlos did. And I'm so proud of John. John, we got to get your name in special thanks roll. I forgot that one. Well, I'm in trouble now. John is interning for a federal judge here in Oklahoma City. He's at George Washington Law School. And I'm very, very proud of him. I'm also very proud of the man who really set my values when I was a young child, that gave me experience to see other parts of this country when I was just a kid growing up close to the refinery in Ponca City where my dad worked all of his life. And that is my brother Fred, his wife Sue, and my niece Robin. Please stand. And if anyone needs a good neurosurgeon, my best buddy in the world, we were roommates in college, Bob Rimondino, sitting up there in the audience. He would always check in on me to make sure I was alive once in a while. So, David, please. Thank you very much.
I just want to thank everyone for coming. I really, really want to extend the Burgess family has embraced us like we're their family, as has the other families that are in the film that their son or husband didn't come home. And we couldn't have done this without them and their support, or like the men and women in the audience that are part of the units that were in the fights. We made this for you. So, but I just want to specifically thank the Burgesses, Terry and Linda, and their spouses. Yes, and it's been an experience for all of us. So why don't we turn it over to questions?
Yeah.
If there are, we're going to do Q&A.
Yeah, so it's Q&A, so anybody have any questions about how we made the film, where it's going from here? By the way, I also want to thank Toby Keith, our fellow Okie, for giving us American Soldier at the end. As well, as we tweet this, Winona Judd saw the film and was inspired to write a song for it, Follow Me, which will be included shortly in the coming versions of this.
Kid Rock's right.
And Kid Rock as well is the music community. You know, it's funny, as we've traveled across, and we've done small screenings, we've tried to be very meticulous in showing every member of the unit and every Gold Star family of this film. Those people were our focus groups. And so that's what we've been doing for months. This film has taken a long time to do. You know, I left NBC News, and I think one of the things we do badly is continue to follow things for years that have gone on, and I think that we had basically stopped embedding and telling the stories of our troops in the field. And that's why I left NBC to do this project. I want to thank ABC News, who I work for, as well as teaching at OU, my other boss, for giving me the opportunity and coming and rescuing us before we starved to death. ABC News has been fantastic in the support of this film. Anyone have any questions out there? Usually there are. Yes, go ahead.
I don't really have a question per se. I just want to say I wasn't part of this unit of the Marines. I'm the ex-82nd Airborne, but good fucking storytelling.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, in the pursuit of this excellent storytelling, I just wondered, there were no parts where particularly they were, were they annoyed with you? Or were they
No.
so worried about you that you felt sort of an encumbrance at times?
I think, no. You know, what happens is that usually I step into a unit and there's a bit of, everyone's sniffing me out a little bit. And word usually gets around, this old fart's been doing this for 3 decades, he's okay. Right, Kelly? And, you become part of that family. And, people think, if you're willing to share the same risks, and that has been what we wanted to do was go back to old traditions of storytelling. Go back to Ernie Pyle in World War II, who's my hero, and be in the trenches day after day after day. And if you're there and you do that, they respect that. And you're sharing the risks with them. I don't carry a weapon. It's against the Geneva Convention. But I know that I have these guys to my left and to my right. And what they want done is for their story to be told. They don't want aggrandizement, but they just want their stories to be told on behalf of all the others that I can't get to. So everyone knows what's going on over there. And the next time we commit troops to the next battle, people will have a better idea of what we're committing to. If we commit someone in uniform in our name into a war where they can die, we better damn well be sure our objectives are clear and we have an end game. And that's something that's not political. What we have studiously tried to do is be apolitical with this film, just to show what life is like for the men and women on the front lines of Afghanistan, and I say women as well. But You know, to say that the American public needs to be connected, and we hope that this film is just one instrument to help do that, then that's not political. That's just being a good citizen of this country, I believe. So, yes?
How many have been injured emotionally and or physically in Afghanistan?
That figure is,
We don't have an overall number of
It-
injuries.
it's-
But it's estimated to be 300,000 to 500,000 have traumatic brain injury. 300,000 to 500,000. The thing that we've found with the film and talking to the different people that are helping veterans, reintegrate, is a lot of people that have been in combat like this, warriors, don't talk about it. They don't want to talk about being injured. They don't want to talk about having problems. That's why the suicide rate is as high as it is, because first of all, that they feel, and anybody that's been in combat, you can jump in and interrupt me. Please feel free. But if you haven't been there, it's really hard to describe to someone what you've been through and have them actually care.
come on down.
Come on down. Come on down.
Okay.
It's a 2-8 Marine.
But I can pretty much speak for the rest of my brothers, and we just don't want anybody else to know. We really don't. We do, but in a certain sense, it's just hard, you know? We don't want our families to, see that type of stuff. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, this film is good. I agree with everything that you said up there, but that's why we don't talk about it.
Yeah. And that's why it's my job, not yours. That's why I know you guys don't talk about it. And that's why it's my job for people to have an idea and to know. Thank you for what you're saying, because that's brutally honest. Yes?
Someone who's been in Afghanistan a little bit earlier than this film, back in 07 and 08.
Yes, sir.
To speak to the question, everyone who's been there, whether it was Afghanistan, Iraq, anywhere, whether they were physically injured or not, they're injured. They bear a part of that battle for the rest of their lives. So, if you want to know how many people were injured, count up how many people have been over there. And each one of us here in the United States are responsible for sending every single soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine to Afghanistan and to Iraq. We are responsible. Remember that.
Thank you very much. Yes?
Mike, you mentioned a few minutes ago the coverage of soldiers on the lines has gone down in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that is?
Well, because, the way television works now, it used to be when I was starting the business in 1980 on the national level, was that news was considered a loss leader, and we didn't really program the news to what the audience wanted. We programmed it to what we thought the important news of the day was. Now that's all changed as news has become a profit center. It's become part of huge corporations, and they demand that the newscasts make a profit. So when a war goes on 11 years, there is certainly people back home, there is weariness. They don't want to see anymore. And we get into the stories that people want to see at any one time. Certain spectacular trials, hurricanes coming in, tornadoes, as we all know. It gets lost because it's out of sight, out of mind, frankly. Less than 1% of our population, much less than 1%, bears any direct impact to this war. It's to those who've raised their hands and said, I will go. So they're the ones, their families, their extended families and friends, they're the ones who feel this. So, it upset me tremendously. And I'm old enough now where I can get upset and I can tell people I'm upset, and I did. and probably walking out of my NBC contract was not the smartest thing I ever did, but at that time it wasn't, but it is now. It's the best thing I ever did in my life. And because, you know, it's changed my life tremendously. And, you know, we're not, hey, believe me, you don't make documentaries to make money. We just want to create something that impacts America. And on the evening newscasts, believe me, Diane, Scott, Katie before Scott, and Brian, you know, they all fight to try to get these stories on, I know. But there's a huge pressure not to have frequent coverage on this, just because it doesn't, the pressure really comes from the audience, it comes from the American people. Because you can watch the graphs, you know, we chart minute by minute, second by second actually, what happens. If you look at a chart, let's go to 2007 in Iraq. Look at a chart in the evening newscast, something comes on, political, lines going like this. Something comes on about Iraq, bam, audience drops out, something else comes back on, comes back up. That's our fault. We have to demand it's not, you know, certainly the networks deserve blame, but we as American people, as consumers of news and information, deserve some of the blame as well. Yes?
Two questions, actually. How many hours of video did you ultimately shoot, and what is T-shirt time?
Well, I'll answer the T-shirt time, and David, who's gone through every stitch of the video, will talk about the hours. T-shirt time is, you know, you go to an event and you get a T-shirt like you have on now. Well, that's what Captain Mott was saying. It's T-shirt time. It's time for the event.
He was doing Jersey Shore.
He was doing Jersey Shore. And tell them about how the process of all the films.
They shot 500 hours of footage, and then we had a lot of the members of the units that had GoPros or helmet cams on provide us footage.
And as well, there's one hell of a chaplain with no slack, Justin Roberts. And so when Carlos had gone back after his year and I stayed on, and I was glad Carlos wasn't there on this one, I got to tell you. He was mad he wasn't there. Let me tell you just a really quick story. In the middle of the night, you know, I'm carrying this gear, and we're carrying everything we have. I got batteries, and I got my food, and I got camera gear and all of that. And we're dead tired, and it's day 3, and it's the middle of the night, and we're huddled in some calotte. You might have been in that calotte with us. And I'm asleep. We're trying to get like an hour and a half of sleep, you know. And I feel someone kick my boot. And I look up, and it's Captain Bankston, and he's bleary-eyed. And he goes, I just got a call on the radio. There's this woman from New York trying to reach you. I go, woman from New York? It's just on the military radio. He goes, yeah. He said, a woman. Do you know her name? He said, I've heard it. And then bell went off. I said, Diane Sawyer? And he goes, yeah, that's it. She's trying to reach you. I had 1 bar left on my satellite phone, and I couldn't. We tried to hook up and couldn't do it. But where was I? I was talking about something here, and I can't remember what the heck it was. It's an old Betcher trait, forgetting these things. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I need some neurosurgery help here. Go ahead, Bob.
I just want to say something that Mike had some impressive stories, and all these soldiers and men that you've honored and women. But I know Betcher, I was his roommate in college, so I have a real perspective. I got accepted to medical school my senior year, and had to make a C in genetics to get it. I made the C. Mike was taking 6 hours to pass fail. He failed 3 to 6 hours. But Mike had this incredible knack for the news. He worked for KTOK. Come over Red Rover. How many times did you? But he did like, I noticed how you guys, when you get these nights and how you get no sleep. Mike can always function with very little sleep. And it was not, so any party you cannot stay up all night because he could stay up all night. But it was, that was a great story. And 59 years old to keep up with these guys. That's impressive. So I have to say, Mike, you have made a difference.
Thanks a lot, Bob. We used to try to, you know, back in those days, those of you who are older remember the Red Rover that KTOK had. So I drive the Red Rover around. I used to try to pick up girls in a Red Rover. Didn't Didn't quite work at OU, you know, they didn't care about the Red Rover. Yes?
Two scenes really touched me in that. Great story, by the way. And I think they told the story of this whole war, and they were back to back. I don't remember the soldier's name, but one soldier said, we don't come over here for a government or anything, we come over here for our butts. Because we need to be beside it. The next second, I think it was maybe Sizemore, he said, every instinct I had is telling me to run, but I won't do it because the guy next to me. These guys will always go where the government tells them to go, and they'll fight and they'll die. You drew a line in the sand. What can we do to get a resolution, bring them home, and deal with them when they can get back?
I think, as a public, certainly the great start, and you see it everywhere, people thanking veterans for their service. You know, my brother Tom was a Vietnam vet. He was 10 years older than me, and when he came back, it was much different. And my brother Tom isn't here, but he's one of my heroes as well. And I think that, but it has to go farther than that. I think what we need to do as a public is be engaged, and there are a lot of these programs that are out there in terms of, you know, not every veteran that comes back is, you know, going to need huge help. But what we should do as employers is put them at the top of our list, because that is the person you want working for you. Any opportunities that are available because they have put their lives on the line for us, we should put our butts on the line for them. So there are a lot of families, you know, that Gold Star families, wives, Shauna Arachaga, for example, who are, you know, they're trying to make it and make it through. We cannot forget that, and we need to keep that at the forefront. There are a lot of different charities that do great work out there. Operation Restored Warrior, Wounded Warrior. There are, and one of the things, if you know a veteran and you see a veteran's having trouble, you know, you don't want to ask them what happened, but you want to sit down. You want to be a friend, and you just want to be there, and because they've done something special for this nation, and we need to do special things for them. And it's going to happen in your life where you come across that, whether it's something as simple as an airport in the American Airlines ad, which is one terrific ad, actually Terry Burgess experienced pretty much that same thing when he was bringing Brian's flag home on an American Airlines flight, when everyone else stayed seated as he walked through the plane, except for one old man who was a veteran who saluted as the flag came by. You know, we have to constantly keep these young men and women at the forefront of our thoughts, not in the back, and we have to be there for them when they need opportunities, when they need help, and there are thousands of different ways to do that. And we will be on our website. You know, our Facebook page now has a reach of how much?
Sorry?
Our Facebook page has a reach of how much now?
About 1.5 million.
About 1.5 million. What we're trying to do is create a community and a movement in this country that basically says, follow me to the front lines here, the battle here as they come home. A movement that says we will not forget. And I didn't answer your question exactly, but on our website, on the hornetsnestmovie.com, we're going to really expand that and have ways in there that you can help and advice and things like that.
So what we would ask you to do is if you have comments, good or bad, we would love to have you post them on the Facebook for a start. We made the movie with no money, or very little money. And we're going to need everyone's help and support, because we're not going to turn the film over to the traditional Hollywood community, which I happen to be a product of. I was at a studio for a number of years, and just give it to an executive and let them take it on as a regular movie, because it's not a regular movie. That I can tell you. You know from seeing it. So what we're doing is we're going to take it out during the holiday period, November, for Veterans Day. We're going to full wall it. We're going to open up in Texas and probably here, and we're gonna expand it out, and as long as there's demand, we'll keep it in the marketplace before we go VOD and DVD. Some of the things that we've been told about the film, and is that it helps with post-traumatic stress disorder. And we've had MDs tell us that, and we've also had members of the units that have experienced it. Mike's experienced it personally over 30 years. But on our Facebook, we'll give you things that you can do to help. Because this shows you why you're saying thank you. The next step is to come up with different ways that you can be part of the mission we're all on.
Okay.